morning. I'm Haylee Ficuciello. Well, if June 16 Democratic primary in Washington, D.C. tells us anything, it's that Democratic Party center wing may officially be heading for a political retirement home. The Democratic nominee for the mayor and Ward 4 council member, Janeese Lewis George, a self-described Democratic socialist who now appears poised to become the overwhelming favorite in November in one of the most democratic cities in America. And if you're wondering whether this is simply another progressive Democrat winning a local election, think again. This is not an old Democratic Party of labor union, working class, pragmatists, and centrists of urban reforms. This is a modern Democratic Party where Democratic socialists are no longer outsiders knocking on the door. They're moving into a corner office. Lewis George built her campaign around what she calls People First agenda, focusing on expanding child care assistance, increasing housing programs, strengthening rent stabilization, lowering utility costs, constructing tens of thousands of housing units, and resisting cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. Her campaign also emphasizes affordability and opposition to what she describes as federal outreach. Supporters called it a compassionate government. Critics call it government expansion on steroids. And that's where things get interesting. While voters were hearing promises about affordability, housing, childcare, and social programs, President Donald Trump has been making it very clear that he views Washington, D.C. through an entirely different lens. Trump has repeatedly warned that if D.C. leaders move further left, the federal government could become more involved in the city's affairs, arguing that recent federal pressures has helped improve conditions in the nation's capital. Lewis George has responded by promising resistance and defending D.C.'s local autonomy. She has vowed not to back down from Trump's administration pressures and has positioned herself as a leading opponent of the federal intervention. So what exactly is on this agenda? According to campaign statements and public reporting, Lewis George has advocated for expanding child care assistance, including plans aimed at making child care more affordable, strengthening and expanding rent stabilization programs, increasing affordability housing developments, including a goal of building approximately 72,000 housing units over 5 years, providing greater housing assistance and down payment support, lowering utility costs for residents, ending or limiting local cooperation with federal immigration enforcement efforts, expanding social housing concepts and public supported housing initiatives. Now, if you're a taxpayer watching from the outside of the Beltway, you might be asking a simple question: who's paying for all of this? That's the question that often follows every grand progressive promise. More housing, more subsidies, more programs, more government, more spending. The answer is usually some version of, don't worry about it, we'll find the money. And somehow, remarkably, the bill always arrives later. Supporters see these proposals as a necessary investment to help working families remain in Washington. Critics see a city already struggling with budget pressures, public safety concerns, economic uncertainties, and declined federal employment attempting to spend its way out of structural problems. What makes this race particularly significant is that this isn't simply about a city government, it's becoming a symbol of a much larger national fight. On one side, President Trump and his allies argue that D.C. needs stronger law enforcement, greater accountability, clear streets, and tougher approach on crime. On the other side, Lewis George argues that affordability, housing access, social investments, and local autonomy are the path forward. Two very different visions, two very different philosophies, and only one city caught directly in the middle. What should concern moderate Democrats is that this isn't happening in isolation. Across several major cities, Democratic Socialist candidates are gaining influence and winning elections. The political energy inside Democratic Party is increasingly becoming more progressive left rather than traditional center. That means the old coalition of business-minded Democrats, moderate urban reformers, and traditional liberals is finding itself challenged by activists who want government to play a much larger role in nearly every aspect of daily life. And perhaps that's exactly why Democratic voters want. We'll find out. But if you're a business owner evaluating where to invest, if your family's deciding where to live, or if your taxpayers wondering whether more government spending is really the answer to every problem, This election deserves your attention because Washington, D.C. may soon become a real world test case, a test of whether democratic socialists can deliver on its promises or whether it simply produces a bigger government, bigger budget, and bigger problems. One thing is certain: the old school Democrats who once dominated city politics appear to be fading fast, and in their place stands a new generation of democratic socialists convincing that they have all the answers. The question now is whether reality agrees with them or not. And this is my take. I'm Haylee Ficuciello, senior correspondent for Englebrook Independent News, and good night.